When your gut feels off, your whole day can feel off. Activia probiotic yogurts and dailies are a quick, easy, and tasty way to up your gut health game every day. They're deliciously smooth and creamy and packed with billions of live and active probiotics. Your gut is where it all begins, so start with Activia. Enjoying Activia twice a day for 2 weeks as part of a balanced diet and healthy lifestyle can help reduce the frequency of minor digestive discomfort.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Join us on a journey, you glorious human, to see yourself clearly and feel a little more awesome than you did before. It's Awesome with Alison.
Hello, lover. Welcome to the podcast.
Am I in the right place?
Hi, friends and fun fans. This is episode 201 of Awesome with Alison. And I'm calling this episode, You're the Right Person to Live Your Life. Boom, baby. That would be a good book title.
Boom, baby?
Shut your face. I don't have the tolerance or time for your shenanigans right now, sir. Don't throw me off my game. Yeah, you're the right person to live your life. This was inspired by something I shared on Instagram this week. I've been saying that phrase, and I think the way that I put it in context, I had a lot of people reach out and say, wow, that like really hit for me. And so I thought it would be fun to elaborate on that and talk over some concepts, because I think a lot of our stress and anxiety is fueled by this idea of I'm not doing something right. It's not correct. It's not working out. Whether you're putting the responsibility or blame on yourself, on the world, on parents, on upbringing, on circumstances, the underlying message is this isn't working out correctly. Would you say that? What are some of I know it's a lot to try to distill down to one or two ideas, but essentially anxiety, you can say anxiety is about living in the future. Depression is about living in the past. We find peace of mind in the present moment. But how does that pertain to you're the right person to live your life? What are some of those really common anxieties? Just think of when you feel anxious, like what are the thoughts that are fueling your anxiety? You felt anxious a lot lately. So I think.
Yeah. I mean,
how much you have to get done.
That's usually what it is. I have too many projects and not enough resources. That seems to be a common, whether it's even true or not, that's what like drives anxiety.
I like that because it might not seem like you're the right person to live your life directly correlates to that. But if you massage it and wiggle it around a little bit, just a little bit, okay. I think it really does apply because essentially when you feel like you have too much to do or something is beyond your scope of capacity, it feels like you're not the right. Like I
feel like I'm not in charge of my life.
Yeah. So it's giving the control and the power away. And the reason why I like you are the right person to live your life is because it takes the power back. So if I feel like, and I was feeling anxious today because there's so much to do. I have to have some hard conversations. There's a birthday party going on. But that really comes back to I am equipped for the situations that I have got myself in or I find myself in. And the reason why I'm equipped is because I am the person who got myself in the situation is really what I mean about it. Mm-hmm. And so much of life can feel outside of our control. But when we come back, and we did our episode a few episodes ago that was really good, Values with a Vengeance, where we laid out the benefits of having your values in the forefront of your day-to-day action. Mm-hmm. Because when you do focus on your values, and remind yourself of them like on a daily basis. That's why I think gratitude is so powerful. It connects you to what you value. It puts you back in the driver's seat. It helps you feel like you're taking control back. And so if there are things that don't feel like you can do in your life, you're the right person to live your life, invites you to let them go.
Yeah.
Maybe that job really isn't in your skill set. Maybe that friendship, the way that person communicates, you are not in a place to be able to communicate with them, and they're not in a place to communicate with you. I don't think that means we just go around cutting out everything hard in our life, but rather we stop being victims of circumstance.
It's like the extreme ownership principle, right?
Yeah.
This is my life. It may not seem fair, but it is. I either got myself into it or it was put upon me. Either way, I'm in the driver's seat of how I choose to react to it. And I do have the power on how I'm going to approach things.
And it reminds me of, we interviewed Tia Stokes last week. And if you haven't watched the documentary Born for This, the Tia B. Stokes story that Eric produced and Tia is in, you should absolutely do that. We'll link to it again. And she says this. She said her dad had cancer and she watched her dad pass from cancer. And then she was raising money for people with cancer. And then Tia was diagnosed with cancer. And Tia said, I had a moment where I thought I can have cancer and be miserable, or I can have happy cancer. Either way, your homegirl Tia's got cancer, right? And that really resonated with me because that's how I talk to myself, where I'm like, you know what, Buttercup, either way, buckle in. This is what we're doing, right? Like,
I can make it worse or better.
Yeah. So I have 3 ideas in You're the Right Person to Live Your Life, like kind of 3 areas of thought. And this first one refers back to what I shared on Instagram. So you've heard me say it a million times. If you feel called to do it, freaking do it. And that has really, I've had a lot of people in person walk up to me and say, hearing you say that inspired me to do this. Hearing you say that gave me permission to do this. And so it's been so wonderful to have it resonate. However, I have also had the flip side for a lot of years of people saying, I don't feel called, or I don't know what it is, or there are already other people doing what I feel called to do and doing it better. And the reason why I love You Are the Right Person to Live Your Life, specifically when we are talking about going after what is your life calling, your life mission, your dream, is because it would not be your dream if you were unable to achieve it. Now, the real crux of this is, and this is what I help people do in coaching, is examine the dream, examine the goals, examine the motivation. What is the feeling that you're trying to capture? Because the reason we are going after these goals and dreams is because we want to capture a feeling. We want to capture an emotion, and we believe that achieving, doing, or having the thing will bring that emotion. And then imagine how much distress it causes you when you feel called to do something and then decide, I don't have the tools to do it. That dream could never happen for me. And that's why I just love this message so much, because I have seen this to be true in people's eyes, in people's faces, in mass, in one-on-one. And it is your body, your DNA, your heart, your soul. It pulls you towards things that you are naturally predisposed to be able to do. And now you can maybe get it in your head that for your dad or mom's love and approval, you need to be a doctor. But I would go back and argue that was never your dream. That was a dream that was put upon you. That was a calling that was put upon you. And so much of this has to do with seeing ourselves clearly, seeing our skills clearly, seeing our ability to grow and adapt and progress. And so often we make the stakes so high and want everything on such a truncated timeline that, of course, it's impossible.
Yeah. You were saying something. It was like 2 thoughts back that I had something. What was it?
It's hard to know because I had so many thoughts in a row. There were so many thoughts all in a row.
I know what it was. I know what it was. Okay, so some people, like you said, I don't know what it is. And so there's a little bit of a freak out of, I don't know what I need to jump into right now. Where I think if that's the case, there's probably some layers that need to be peeled back, like you said, from expectations from others, from family, of this is truly not what I want. That's what they want. So that might be something that I need to work on first. It's basically clearing the path so you can find that why or purpose.
And that's also part of what I shared. So thank you so much for bringing that back up is, okay, so what if you don't feel called? And I had never really been able to empathize with that emotion until recently, because that is a superpower of mine is I feel this calling. I feel this pull. And to have that go away felt like I was like operating without one of my limbs. It felt so foreign to me and so confusing. And it really did crack my heart open to, oh, a lot of people feel this way. And this is why when I say that, they just don't even know how to respond to it. And what I realized is that I had lost some confidence in my ability to make things happen. I had lost confidence. It's confidence has a lot to do with it, but an even bigger part to do with it is that on a fundamental level, I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe yet sharing online. I didn't feel safe yet exposing myself and all my open wounds and sores through my book. And I was really in a position where it's time, we're putting it out. And for the last few years, I think that I have really needed to allow my body, my mind, my heart to ease back into that feeling of security and safety. And really what it was is I had to build the trust back up. I had to build the trust up that I could show up and work and not fall back into old patterns. And I had to build the trust up that I am going to fall into old patterns. And when I fall into old patterns, I get to self-correct. I get to invite myself out of old habits of overworking, prioritizing production over connection, and move back into what I truly value. There was nothing for it other than returning my mind, my body, my heart to a place of safety and confidence. But the only way to do that was to show up messy. The only way to do that was to show up, and trust is built by small positive exchanges. Trust in relationships is built by small positive win exchanges. If I want to build trust that I can show up and do a keynote and not spiral with an anxiety attack after, I have to actually go do the keynote and practice. And I can see how this becomes a real conundrum, because if you don't feel called to do anything, how do you know what to practice? This is a sponsor that I would hear on other people's podcasts and secretly hope one day that I could work with them. And I am talking about Calm. Calm is a meditation app. It helps with anxiety and sleep. And I have been using Calm for years. Now, here's one of my top tips for managing that day-to-day anxiety, that pressure, that stress. And it is to notice and manage your transitions. And here's how I use the Calm app for that. When I'm in the car, when I'm going from one activity to another, something at the first activity might have kind of like, for example, I just got off a phone call where we talked about a few things that brought up some of my anxiety. And as I was driving over here to record the podcast, I turn on Calm and I find different types, different lengths of meditations, music, practices, breathing exercises. And I manage that transition from task A to task B. And that is just one of a million ways you can use it. Calm is the #1 app for sleep and meditation. It gives you the power to calm your mind and, in effect, change your life. And so you're going to stress less, sleep more, and live better with Calm. For listeners of our show, Calm is offering an exclusive offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/awesome. That is so good. 40% off. Go to calm.com/awesome for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/awesome. And my advice would be, and then Eric, if you have any insight on that, right? My advice would be focus on returning your body settings to a homeostasis where you can feel and you can be angry and you can be sad and you can be happy. And that might take, honestly, years of work. But that's the calling. The calling is to be able to listen and hear your mission, your thoughts, your path. And if you can't hear them, then the calling is to restore yourself to a place where you can hear it. Because I promise you, once you do, you will start to hear it again.
Something that surprised me is I go to college, we get married, I have that job, which is a good job, but I'm not passionate about it. And then life takes you onto a track, a path, and then I lost myself. And so it's been cool in the last, 5 years to remember what like made me come alive as a child or a teenager and let those things drive what I truly love again. And that's been really cool. Like,
Yeah.
To think back, like when you watch a movie from your childhood, oh my gosh, I loved this thing, or I loved this craft, or I loved this thing. And then you dive back into that with your own kids and relive it. It makes you come alive again. And I love, I don't know what the quote was, who said this, but it's basically be yourself and be as weird as you are.
Yeah.
Don't be weird for the sake of being weird, but everyone's weird. Be weird and wild and let your true, I hate the true self, it's a buzzword, but it's let the original things that you fell in love with as a child or teenager, let it bless you again and you can explore it and have so much fun. And I think that's a way to feel what you're called to do.
Because you're connecting to yourself.
Yeah, you're connecting to yourself. It's
you're
like right now.
You're building trust.
I loved games as a kid and as a teenager. I fell in love with it and it went away for a lot of years. And now I'm starting a gaming company on the side with a friend. And that's so fulfilling. And what's weird is it's like I did it as a passion project, but it's now becoming more successful than anything else that I felt like I had to go down the road and be on this track.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's so weird that's happening. And I'm just realizing now that go back to your childhood, go back to the things that you were obsessed with and get back into it. And maybe that's not what you'll be called to do, but at least you'll be in that curiosity and like the childhood wonder state.
Yeah, because it's for you, your childhood was a place and time of security and safety. And so that helps you connect to that feeling of these are things that bring me joy. Now, for other people who have maybe never had that experience, this could be a time the phrase would be reparent yourself, right? Or the inner child work. But this would be a really good time to be like, hey, I always wanted to be able to go to the gas station and pick out 3 candy bars, but my family never had the money for that. And I'm going to go to the gas station today and I'm going to buy 3 candy bars, right? Like just these little things. I remember I grew up with I've talked about this before. I grew up with a lot of diet culture, a lot of restricted eating. And I remember being in college and going to the gas station and just being like, I can buy candy. I am an adult and I can buy candy and I can eat candy if and whenever I want. And it's funny because I am a candy person, which part of it is me taking back from my childhood. I would never eat candy when I was a kid because it's just sugar. And I didn't want anyone to see me eating candy because I didn't want them to judge me for eating candy because then I felt guilty because I wasn't doing what I should be doing, which is eating healthy food or not eating. And so it has been this very healing thing for me. And when we first met, Eric thought it was really funny that I would like get candy. And he's like, I don't like really eat candy. And I was like, we will change that, sir. And the other really thing I hear around this is somebody else is already doing it. I don't know how to do it. I have more than one thing I want to do. And all of that is valid and true and is just analysis paralysis.
It is. And also, it's if you think that you have to make money with it, that's going to freeze you up so fast before you even get into it. So I get the argument someone else is already doing it better than me, but that's just not a good excuse to not do it.
I think that I'm glad you brought that up too, because I think you and I have a tendency, which can be positive and negative, to take what we're interested in and want to turn it into a business.
Mm-hmm.
And I was coaching somebody yesterday who has had a lot of personal changes and feels like she needs to rebrand and change her entire business. And I was so glad I was talking to her because I felt the exact same way. I felt like between the time I wrote my book and my book was released, when they showed me that cover picture, I was like, I don't know who she is. And I said it like that dramatically to them. I'm like, I don't recognize myself in that picture. Because in that moment, I felt like I was so different and going through so much transformation. That picture didn't reflect my truth. And that's valid. That is how I felt. I don't necessarily feel that way anymore. I feel like when we are making big changes in our thinking or in our belief system, or things are healing or shifting within us, the tendency is to want to drastically affirm the new way of thinking. So I think of my oldest brother who, when he left organized religion, he picked up smoking. And he said he picked up smoking as a way to physically affirm to himself that he was done with that way of life. Then, of course, he then spent 15 years or whatever trying to quit smoking. And he has, and he's amazing and healthier than all of us, truly. But I just would notice that tendency within yourself to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I tend to be a very extreme person. And I also want to say, as I say that, I would never stop you. I'm just telling you right now, I'm going to support you either way. But if you feel like you don't know what it is, or there's too many things, or somebody else is already doing it, there's one very simple thing, and that is take one step. You take one step in one direction of one of the things. So you write one essay, you write one chapter, you play one game, you make one phone call, you make one appointment, you sign up for one class. And if there's 10 things you're interested in, you spend 1 hour on YouTube researching it, right? You take one step. And as you take that one step, you're going to get more information. And you cannot arrive at the calling. You cannot arrive anywhere without information. And so that is such a vital part of it. Oh, this one is so good. Factor meals. You guys, listen, I've told you before, when you're bopping from task to task, it is easy to skip eating, or you're in that position where you're like, oh, my only option is gas station food or fast food. And that is why I love Factor. It's cheaper than takeout. They are chef-prepared meals. They're like all the protein, the macros, the ratios, all of it is pre-figured out for you. And they're chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, and they are nummy. We have absolutely loved, that butter chicken was so good. I love their cold pressed juice. And actually, I need to restock, because this week I'm like literally eating with my fingers out of leftovers. And especially during this time of year, to have those nutritious, balanced, affordable meals on hand, they're in your refrigerator, they're fresh, never frozen. It really just makes all the difference in taking care of you. And luckily, because they are a sponsor, we have a deal for you so you can try these out. So head to factormeals.com/50 with Alison and use the code 50 with Alison to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code 50 with Alison at factormeals.com/50 with Alison to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is active. Let's get back to it. So doing what you feel called to do, you're the right person to live your life. And if you feel like you can't move towards what you're feeling called to do, I hope that helps. Another thing that I wanted to toss out is Martha Stewart. I know that she's got her new documentary on Netflix. A lot of you probably know I've loved her for a long time. Support her in prison. Support her. You go, Martha. But She didn't start her company till she was 50. Most best-selling art authors are in their 50s. We are so obsessed with the quick turnaround and quick success. I am the guiltiest of it, okay? And yesterday, I just had the wildest thought where I was like, I am going to build my business back in a way that I want. And instead of it taking 6 months like I've been expecting it to, it's already been essentially like 2 years. It's probably going to take another 2 to 5 years. And I was like, oh. Before, honestly, if you had told me that, I would have gotten mad at you. And maybe tomorrow I'll get mad if you say it. But I was like, oh, this is just going to take longer than I thought. But I know that it is the right path because regardless of the time it takes, I still want to do it. And so I think that's a really good litmus test where I'm like, if I die and this is what I'm working towards, then I am living my mission. This is the funniest thing ever is I read another book by him and I describe it the exact same way. It's Robert Greene. And this book is called The Laws of Human Nature. I describe it the same way I read the other one from Robert Greene, is it's dry, it's boring, it makes me mad in the way he talks about things, but it's also so interesting and I'm learning so much I can't stop. It's really good information. I just want to argue with the way he presents most of it. But then I think it's because he's presenting things I really need to hear.
And he's so annoyingly logical.
Isn't it? I told you to start listening to it, right?
I've known Robert Greene for a long time. He just presents very logical and unemotional.
It's unemotional, and it just makes me want to rail against it. But then, because I am in the phase of life that I am in, I have to acquiesce and be like, yeah, I do get to show up as my authentic self in every situation. What authentic means to me is I'm not trying to control how I'm perceived. Okay, that has gotten me in some sticky situations. We do wear masks, and it is for survival. It's not because we're all narcissists, right? There's different things like that with the way like psychobabble has made certain things taboo too. So from Laws of Human Nature, he shares this quote from a French philosopher, and this is the last point I want to touch in when I talk about you are the right person to live your life. And the French, it's Pierre Augustin Caron de Beaumarchais, okay, something like that. At last I have what I wanted. Am I happy? Not really. But what's missing? My soul no longer has that piquant activity conferred by desire. Oh, we shouldn't delude ourselves. Pleasure isn't in the fulfillment, but in the pursuit. I've heard the part of the quote, we shouldn't delude ourselves. Pleasure isn't in the fulfillment, but in the pursuit. But the part that really stuck out to me was my soul no longer has that piquant, and I think that's how you say that word, activity conferred by desire. There is a type of friction and momentum and propulsion, like a propellant, when you have desire. And that is what so much of my calling, it was desire. I desired to have these things. I desired to achieve these things. Why I desired them, we can look at all of the things. But that spark was enough fire for me to move and take action. And when my desire no longer was coming out of a place of earning and proving and achieving, it has taken me some time to learn how to take action and desire from a place of me. Coming back to me. What is it that I desire? Not so I can prove myself, not so that I can be this perfect girl who serves and gives and, right? What do I want? What is like, and really, everybody is so grumpy and touchy and short and nippy and snappy. And it's because we are like nobody is getting back to this. There's a lot of reasons why. People are stressed. People are strapped for cash. People are worried about the future. But it really, the common courtesies, just even at Disneyland last month in the parking lot, you're noticing people on the ragged edge a lot. And so if ever you start to think, why would this matter for me? How selfish of me to focus on this. The planet is dying. People are starving. But if you can't keep your cool in 5 minutes of traffic, how are you supposed to affect positive change? And that's no shade on you, Eric, or me, or anyone else screaming at people in traffic, because I get it. But I just feel like we're missing the point in a lot of ways. We're missing the point. We're fighting for justice and we're fighting for peace and equality, but yet we're not treating each other civilly. If you voted for that person, I don't talk to you anymore. Because that's othering. Mm-hmm. That's judging.
It's just looking outward.
It is. And it's like all the stupid Robert Greene in his really good book, The Laws of Human Nature, he talks about how we have all of these biases as humans. And one of our big tendencies is we feel we are better informed than other people because we are quickly seeing information.
Just because we see information, period. Regardless of what it is.
And then we assume there's all this science behind it. We assume that we have taken more time to come to what we consider our direct decision than that other person has to come to their decision, which is no doubt wrong. And all of that to say, if we can get back to focusing on pleasure not being in the fulfillment, but in the pursuit. There's all these examples. This is one I think is super interesting, is where like we have to get rid of capitalism. We have to get rid of the patriarchy. Sure, great. Okay, let's get rid of it all. And this is a point Robert Greene brings up that is so interesting to me. Let's look at every revolution that has ever happened. Did it get better for the French? Did it get better for the French? What happened? What happened is some people with the most emotionally charged, persuasive ideas got in a position of power, promised they would make things different, and nobody thought about the long-term effects of the changes. Mm. And there's a documentary right now on Netflix, I think it's called Buy Now, and they're talking about the boom of Amazon and Amazon becoming, and other brands, fast consumer. And there's just all these people looking in the camera, bewildered, going, we never thought about what would happen to all the stuff we were pushing people to buy. If everybody's ordering this much physical stuff and we are producing physical things without any sort of demand, we're producing them to push them rather than fulfill a demand, then brands and businesses are put in a position to destroy and ruin perfectly good product so that they can maintain the value of future product they are trying to sell. So it turns into just this consumption nightmare for the planet. But it's not like these are evil, awful, horrific, just greedy monsters. Some of them are, sure. But it also was like, how do we grow and sell this thing?
Because growth is good. Because growth
is the best, right? And so back to tending to our own gardens. You're the right person to live your life. If you feel called to do it, freaking do it. And I know this from the bottom of my heart. There is a calling for you. There is a mission for you. There is a path for you because you have a unique set of experience, challenge, and like your magic, like connections and neural pathways in your brain that spark ideas in a certain way. And your perspective, we need it. We need your dreams. We need your projects. We need your books. We need your art. We need your writing. We need your friendship. We need you showing up with a smile at the grocery store. We need you showing up snarky at the grocery store and sharing a fun, snarky comment with the person behind you. Because maybe that's where you're at right now. And I salute you, right? But we need you. And this idea that we look back at our past selves now with this current information And we cancel and we're ruthless and we're like, I'm so, like me looking at that picture on the cover of my book, I just cringed. I don't even know that girl. I don't respect that girl. No, that is not change. That is not healing. That is just deciding a past version of me isn't as good as this current version of me. And I know that past version of me was trying her hardest. And I know that past version of all of you was doing the best they could do with the information and the circumstance you had at the time. And so being able to look back on our past self, get that information, get that feedback, and then look forward. And the pleasure is in the pursuit. You are the right person to live your life. And it is going to feel different every day. You get to live your dream life. You get to accomplish your dreams. You have your dreams because they are for you to accomplish. They are for you not to just accomplish, but to be in pursuit of. That is actually your calling. That is actually your mission, is to be in the pursuit. Because it is in the pursuit that we are challenged, there's friction, and with friction, there's transformation. And that's what it's all about. Gosh, I've got all the answers to life today.
Well done.
I hope that serves you in this holiday season as you think about the new year coming up and you start getting hard on yourself, or you start overcommitting, or you just want to look at yourself with a lot of compassion, that you can fall back on some of these concepts and maybe they've helped just relieve some tension. You feel a little more awesome than you did before. Eric, do we have any new reviews?
We don't, but that's okay.
That's okay. We still love you guys. We're not sad or anything. We love your reviews. We love when you share comments and you share the episodes. It means so much to us. We are so grateful for you. And I want to remind you, only you can be you, and you are already as awesome as you need to be. Okay, you guys know I have a hard time drinking water. It's because it's boring and I have my tumbler all day filled with diet soda. But I have challenged myself to start hydrating more. So my new thing is liquid IV. And I start around 4 or 5 o'clock, forcing myself to try to drink some water, which was so hard to do. So with these yummy flavors that liquid IV has, it's actually scientifically proven to hydrate better than just water. So I do forget to drink water sometimes throughout the day. This has been so great because I challenge myself. I got to finish at least 1, maybe 2 of these throughout the day to make sure that I'm really getting hydrated. And the most exciting thing is that I get to offer you a deal for this thing that has been helping me. I love the pina colada and I love the sugar-free white peach. It truly, I have less headaches. I feel less lethargic. Who knew we all need so much water? So stay hydrated with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV. And when you go to liquidiv.com, use my code AWESOME so you can save 20%. That's liquidiv.com, code AWESOME.